Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda Borowski, and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello, Rhonda.
Hello, David.
And Jill.
Hi, David.
Hi, David.
And hello to all of our listeners around the world. This is the Feeling Good podcast, episode 346. And today you're going to hear the second part of the personal work that David and Jill did with Veena. And today you're going to hear lots of different methods. You're going to hear a really clear invitation, the miracle cure question. David and Jill spent some time conceptualizing. And then we did a really exquisite survey technique, which I think was very powerful. And when we're going to record a conclusion with Veena and find out exactly what it was that was the most impactful and how you've been since you've done this personal work.
And we probably snuck in some externalization of voices.
Yep.
Acceptance paradox.
Yep.
Whole bunch of, good shit, so to speak.
Right. A whole bunch of the team structure fit in with this personal work.
So here we go. Push it off from shore. Enjoy it, and we'll come back to you at the end and make some teaching points. Would this be a good time for us to roll up our sleeves and get to work on this problem tonight? Or do you need more time to talk and just have us look and understand? Because we've got some great tools, but we don't want to jump in before you feel ready.
I think we can get to work.
Okay. Well, let me give it back over to you again, Jill, and maybe Jill can help us set the agenda and find out what we should be focusing on. And so we're moving group just from simple-minded teaching points we've done T equals testing, we've done E equals empathy, and now we're entering into A equals what we used to call paradoxical agenda setting. I'm kind of liking that better now, or assessment of resistance, or as Danielle would say, addressing resistance. I kind of decided I like that one better too. But anyway,
also, while you're doing that teaching, and David just offered the invitation step, right? That was the invitation that David just offered Veena. So yeah, I think I would start maybe with the miracle cure question, which is just, Veena, if a miracle occurred and you could get just what you wanted out of our work with you, what would be different? How would you be thinking and feeling, or how would things be different for you?
At the end of our session.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's future going to bring. It is very uncertain at the moment. So I don't want to feel extremely responsible, extremely guilty of these things, and that it's my fault that my husband will suffer, or it's my fault that everyone else will, and that I'm not able to give people, and that I am not capable. I don't want to feel like that. I want to take this, whatever comes my way, I want to take this as what life came by, and this is what I could do, and I did my best, and yeah, and it's okay if people don't like me for that, because I can't do much about it. So I want to reach there where I feel a little more confident and a little more happy with myself about things that I chose and the things that I did.
Okay, great. I love what you wrote, what you said. It sounds like you started out by saying, I don't want to feel guilty and responsible, right? So I want to be able to feel good about myself and not blame myself and feel guilty and responsible. I want to be able to take this as just something that kind of life handed me, right? Not something that I did to myself. I want to feel like I did my best. And also you kind of said, and if others judge me, I still want to be able to feel happy with myself. So yeah, I mean, that's wonderful. I'm so happy you said that. I feel like that would be our goal too, David, right? That sounds like a workable agenda
That's
to
beautiful.
me to help you to feel a whole lot better under the circumstances and to be able to accept this as something that's happening to you, but not something that you have done anything to bring about yourself or that you have any level of responsibility for, and to be able to kind of move through this more easily. So yeah, to me, kind of, yeah, would I be thinking in my head then and can be saying to you guys, but I wouldn't necessarily be saying to a patient, right? So it definitely sounds like an individual mood problem here, right? And it seems like a problem that we could help you with using a daily mood log. And my thinking, David, then is we could go to the magic button and positive reframing and magic dial, and then identify the distortions, and then maybe pick some methods to help Vina with. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect to me.
Yeah. Well, you're the one who thought of it.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I'm thinking right now. I'm just so convinced by what Vina's saying. I'm saying, baby, we don't need to do a positive reframing and magic button and all of that, but it's usually a mistake to ignore it. And most therapists do ignore it, can't see it. But there might be some very healthy reasons to resist smashing these negative thoughts and working toward feeling of happiness. So I'll let you continue to guide us so beautifully.
Yeah, okay. I'll start us out there then. So Vina, if we had a magic button and you could press it and you could walk out of the session this evening and you would really feel fantastic, right? You'd feel no guilt and shame and embarrassment and the sadness. It would all go away and go to zero. Would you press that button?
Maybe not. Like, for guilty, yes, I don't want to feel guilty and responsible, but for other things, maybe I would want to keep them.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you said that. You're ahead of the game here. Like, you're basically recognizing that I would want to drop some guilt and shame, but there's some other emotions that maybe I would want to hang on to. And maybe that's because you're realizing this isn't your first time thinking about this. And so maybe you're already realizing that there are some benefits to some of the feelings that you're having, and that they may make some sense and may even show some things about you that are beautiful and awesome. Was that right? Are you thinking it might make sense to hang on to some of these? Because
including guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's think, could we spend a few minutes then essentially doing just that? Let's think about what would be good reasons to hang on to some of these feelings. Maybe it wouldn't make sense to get rid of them.
Sure.
Should we start with sadness, for example? Let's think of, what does your sadness show about you that's really kind of beautiful and awesome? And how is it an expression of your values?
It shows that I care for people around me and I want to give them the best that they expect out of me.
Yeah.
And it shows that how much I care for my own dreams and my own dream to have a baby and be a mother. And it also shows how empathetic I am towards their feelings and my feelings. And it also gives me some kind of reality check that maybe my fertility is not on point. So that is something to feel sad about. It's quite valid, isn't it?
Awesome. Right. So it shows how much you care about the people around you, that you feel sad for them and for yourself, that you have high standards. You said that I want to give them my best, right? So like that I want to be the best daughter-in-law and the best wife and the best daughter. And that involves having a baby, and that I care for my own dreams, almost like a sadness is a form of self-love. Like I'm feeling sad for myself that I can't have this dream. And then also that you're really empathic, and that you sort of are grounded in reality, where you are having some difficulties and troubles, right?
Yeah.
And sad for mother too.
Yeah, my mom too.
Shows your love for your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we move on to another feeling?
Sure.
What about anxious, worried, frightened? How might that be benefiting you, feeling anxious, worried, or frightened? Or what might it show about you that's beautiful and awesome?
So I think it comes across as a warning signal of things that can go down the line. So helps me predict what all things can go down the line and plan for them and do my best, be on my front foot, and do everything that's required right now in the journey. And my anxiety keeps me there. It doesn't let me go be laid back and be careless in that journey. It helps me be very much on the front foot in my journey. Go to regular checkups, talk to doctor, see what measurements I have to follow, and all of that.
Absolutely. And is that a good thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Yeah. Right. You want to be on the ball and sharp and on your front foot, as you said, ready to go.
Yes. Yes.
How about your guilt? You said you want to bring the guilt to zero, but what are some really beautiful things about your guilt and your remorse?
Yeah, so it makes me think what I could have done differently and how I was a little stubborn at times and didn't agree when people were telling me things. So it helps me see all of that. But at the same time, I want to keep guilt at a zero in this particular situation because I know I did the best there and I couldn't have planned things earlier in my life. And although it seems like that now when I look back, but if I were back at 24, I wouldn't do that even today.
Sure. But what does your guilt show about you that's positive and awesome?
That I'm retrospective. I'm ready to look at myself and see what could have been done differently. And I'm ready to look at my mistakes.
Is that important?
Yeah, that's important.
Is that powerful?
It is. Yeah. It makes me close to my values and being humble and
and humble. Yeah, so that and also that you're very responsible. You don't blow people away. You don't blow things off. You take things seriously.
Yeah.
Is that important?
Yeah, and my guilt also keeps me humble, and that also helps me not be so entitling on people that, oh, this is my condition, so you have to be like very empathetic towards me and don't tell me those things. So I can keep my anger also a little at bay. Now I'm thinking of that. And I don't get very entitling on them. I can still be very humble with them. And
yeah, that's beautiful. Back to you, Jill.
Let's see. What about your self-consciousness? How's your self-consciousness helping you, or what does it show about you that's really beautiful and awesome?
So I think when I feel self-conscious, it helps me introspect myself and be a little careful in explaining my journey to people because I don't want to tell everyone everything. So
yeah,
that way.
You're saying it helps you in some ways. You're sort of careful in the way that you communicate to people, and so in some ways it's a little self-protective, right? Like being a little self-conscious as a way of kind of protecting yourself.
Yeah. At the same time, be observant of my surroundings, of how I'm being looked upon and how I'm being presenting myself and how I'm being looked by people.
One of your goals is to like yourself and to be happy with yourself. But what's beautiful about your inferiority, your worthlessness, and your defectiveness? How could that be a good thing?
Yeah, I think it really showed me where I'm lacking. And at the same time, it motivated me to take some fitness journey back in picture and to work on myself. And because I could see where I'm lacking and I believe I'm aging. So it helped me see what flaws I have at the moment and how I can work on them.
What are some other great things about seeing that you have flaws?
It also helps me correct them somehow in my best capacity, however I can.
Do your flaws allow you to get closer to other people?
Yeah, it makes me very empathetic for people who are going through something like me and very happy for people who've had successful journey.
Is that important?
Yeah, very important.
Is that beautiful?
Yeah, very. I want to be happy for those people and empathetic for the ones who are in the same boat as me.
Yeah. Thank you. I love what you're saying, Veena.
And maybe we could just do one more, which would be hopeless. I just think that might be a helpful one to do because some of your thoughts were hopeless thoughts. So what do you think? What do you think feeling hopeless, pessimistic, discouraged, how might that be helpful to you or advantageous, or what might it show about you?
So I remember that day when I felt hopeless, I just paused and stepped back from communicating and taking some time to myself. And that helped my husband reach out to me and helped me seek his help because I was feeling hopeless. And that was one, it's very contradictory because that was one very beautiful moment between me and my husband where I was really crying and feeling hopeless, and he was so supportive. And so I could ask for help. I could see him worried for me and being there for me as a team and telling me we would do everything possible. So giving me hope, and I could see what all we could do. And that's how feeling hopeless helped me there.
That's
did
so
you
beautiful.
just say that you did you just say that your hopelessness is a gift to your husband?
Yeah, because that moment when I felt hopeless, he was the one taking charge and he was the one telling me things he would do for me and how we could take this and how he would be so supportive and all of that, and how he did not let me tell or inform about my reports for another 2 days to people around me. Even my in-laws, his own mother, he said, let's just not tell anyone and make you feel low about yourself. Let this be just between you and me, and we'll go talk to the doctor and then talk to them. So let's not make you feel more low about yourself and make them comment anything on you. So that really helped.
Well, that's beautiful.
Like such old and wise 28-year-olds, like so beautiful. I mean that with the most kindest. He sounds so lovely, like such an amazing human being. I just love that you shared that story with us. It's so touching. But yeah, just allowing yourself to feel all those feelings and share your feelings of hopelessness brought him close to you. I sometimes think of hopelessness as kind of protecting oneself from having hope and then having your hopes dashed. That in some ways it's like if you just say, well, it's never going to work, then it's almost like protects you against hoping that it could work and then that failed attempt or those awful feelings. I don't know. Does that resonate with you at all, that it could be protective as well?
No, I think it was more of when I felt hopeless, I could see what other doors I still have open. So it was in a way, feeling hopeless was like taking a break, some space, and then again giving me some hope there that there's still something I can do. Let's do something and not feel hopeless and get out of here.
Yeah, it was almost like hitting bottom to pull yourself back up again and try again or something like that. Yeah, give you a break to re-energize and come up with another kind of plan.
Also ask for help.
Ask for help. Definitely. It sounds like you got help and support. Yeah. Okay. Well, David, would it be okay to move to the magic dial?
Yes, absolutely, Jill.
Okay. So I would ask you, Veena, given all of these beautiful and authentic benefits of your negative thoughts and your negative feelings and just how much these feelings and thoughts are working for you, right? Like they show that your sadness shows that you care for people, that you want to give them your best, that you're incredibly empathic and realistic, and your love for your mother and your anxiety helps you to predict and plan and protect yourself, and your guilt helps you to see how responsible you are. And look at your mistakes and be humble and on, just so many good reasons to stay where you're at and not work on these. So I guess I would just ask you, given all of these benefits and advantages, why would you want to change? Why would you want to change these, bring these feelings any lower than they are? Maybe we just keep you as you are right now.
Yeah, because they don't help. I happen to get teary. I happen to have a lot of self-doubt. And I'm sure the people I love, like my mom, my in-laws, they don't want to see me like that. And I don't want to see myself like that. And a lot of guilt is taking away the motivation that I have, because I struggled with motivation at work also the past few days very badly. And I didn't want it to work at all. And I don't want to be there. My work makes me happy. I love what I do and I want to be there. I want to be I want to be on my front foot dealing with this with my husband and not just lag behind and just cry. And that would also affect, like, I believe what David says, that the way you feel and think and talk to yourself and the way you have thoughts about yourself really affects your body. And I've experienced that. And I don't want to do that to my body. It's already going through a lot. I don't want to talk back bad things and things that will affect it. I want to talk all the good things to it so that it can help me and I can help it come out of this.
Well, given that your sadness and depression is 100, and if you could dial it down to a lower level, what would be a good level to have tonight?
I think a 30 on sadness is good there, like feeling sad about things at a 30 and 30 on the sadness. And I don't want to feel so anxious. So maybe a 20 on the anxiety. It could still
20
help.
on anxiety, but how much on the sadness?
30.
You said 30.
30. Oh, okay, good. 30. Okay, great. And guilty and remorseful, what would be good?
I think just a 5. I don't want to feel so guilty.
Okay, that's enough guilt for you, 5?
Yeah, it's enough for me to keep me humble.
Sure. How inferior and worthless do you want to feel? And I'm writing this on the goal that these were all 100, and also inferiority and defectiveness is 100. How defective do you want to feel tonight and worthless?
Maybe 20 there, not much.
Okay. And then how self-conscious? That was 80.
Yeah, so I think I would want to keep that at a 30 again.
20?
30.
Oh, 30.
30. Yeah.
30, yeah. And then how hopeless do you want to feel? That was 70.
Maybe a 15.
15. And how upset? That was 70.
I think a 20.
20. And then another emotion you just mentioned, we didn't measure it, but was you feel insecure and you have self-doubt. How strong would you like those feelings to be?
Maybe a 5%, not
5.
Self-doubt. I don't want that.
Perfect. Okay, back to you again, Jill. That's okay.
Sure. Well, that's wonderful. I think these are really good goals, and I'm glad that you're able to see some of the benefits, right? Some of how these things are serving you well, but for the most part, wanting to feel a whole lot better. And I think we can totally do that for you. So now we're going to move into the kind of methods part of the treatment. And I think it always makes sense to start with explain the distortions, and then we can try to pick some good methods for the thoughts that are really distressing you. Do you want to pick a thought on here for us to start with that we can identify the distortions in? Maybe one of the thoughts that feels especially distressing to you?
I think number 4, number 1.
Okay. Let's start with number 4. So you have the thought, I will ruin, do you say it's Sumit?
Sumit.
Yeah, Sumit. I will ruin Sumit's life with me. And that's your husband's.
Yeah, that's my husband.
So what distortions do you see in that thought, Meena?
I think there's a lot of fortune telling and mind reading on my end, because he tells otherwise all the time.
So
Because,
put FT and MR in the middle column.
Yeah.
I always use abbreviation so you don't have to write the words out. FT for fortune telling, MR for mind reading.
Yeah.
And when you say that's a beautiful thing that you said, mind reading, could you explain that to us? I should shut up, Jill, not you do it because you're doing great.
No, that's great.
So I said mind reading because that I know he's told me a few times that's not how he thinks. And I still keep reading his mind, and I still keep thinking that, oh, he's not being honest to me. Oh, he's just, because he's a really kind and really compassionate human. So he's just trying to be nice and not tell me things on my face, because that would just break me. And so I just keep doing some mind reading there. Oh, I know how he feels and believes.
Right. So, yeah, go ahead. So what, are there other distortions in this thought? I will ruin Sumit's life with me?
Yeah, I couldn't think of it that way, but now that we're doing some work, I think there is also some all or none. And then there's some also...
Why is it all or nothing thinking? Yeah, I agree.
Because it's just this thing that can either ruin or make things beautiful. Otherwise, they're all black to me at the moment.
Right. Like, in other words, there may be some, I think of it as almost like there's no shades of gray here. Like, our life might be more challenged, or there might be some sadness, but it's not like our life is amazing or our life is totally ruined, right? That's the black and white nature of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. Anything else? Any other distortions you see in that thought?
I think there is also overgeneralization for me and discounting the positive.
Just stop on that, discounting the positive. I love everything you're saying, but that's huge. Why is this thought an example of discounting the positive, Veena?
Because we do share a good companionship. Me and my husband, we're very supportive of each other. And I think just by discounting those positives and thinking that if this one thing doesn't happen, it will just ruin his life. So I think I'm discounting the companionship and the support that we have for each other and the kind of admiration we have for each other.
Yeah. Are those feelings real?
Yeah.
Is that important?
Very important.
And were you ruining his life when you were feeling hopeless?
No.
What was happening when you were feeling hopeless?
I think we came stronger as a team.
Could you write that in the right-hand column?
Yeah.
We've become stronger and more loving as a team.
Yeah.
Is that true, what you just said?
Yeah, definitely.
How true is that between 0 and 100?
I think 100.
Okay, put 100 in the percent belief column.
Yeah.
And now, how much do you believe the thought, I will ruin Sumit's life with me?
I think still at somewhere between a 30 and 40 yet.
I didn't quite understand that.
It's somewhere between 30 and 40.
Oh, 30 and 40. So that's a partial reduction. I keep that in the percent now column. I put a line through the 60 and put 30 to 40 there. We are chipping away at it, but we have a little ways to go, and our brilliant Jill will lead us further.
Well, any other distortions? And then we can move on. But we have fortune telling, mind reading, all or nothing, overgeneralization, discounting the positive. Anything else?
I think there is self-blame.
Self-blame. Yeah. And what is it? Self-blame.
There is magnification. Self-blame because I'm blaming myself for doing things to him that I'm not responsible, actually, because I didn't cause that to myself.
Right. Because you say, I will ruin his life, right? So this thought is as if it were all your fault.
Yeah.
Versus if it were something like he may feel sad as a result of this, or we will both feel sad together, or we will struggle or something that's more realistic. But yeah, you're blaming yourself for the idea that you would ruin his life.
Yeah.
And you just said, I didn't cause this. Did you just say that?
Yeah.
How much do you believe that?
100%.
Could you put that in the right-hand column, right? I didn't cause that, 100%.
No.
Now, I'm confused a little bit. How can you believe I'm ruining Suman's life? I will ruin his life with me. How can you believe that 30 to 40 and believe I didn't cause this 100?
It feels it feels like that. Yeah, it's not true, but it feels like that.
So is that emotional reasoning?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So you just said it feels this way, but it's not true.
Yeah.
Could you put that in the right-hand column also?
Yeah.
Feels this way, but not true.
Yeah.
Now, is that true, or are you just being nice to me? Because it feels to me like it's my fault. Are you saying that it's not true? That I'm going to ruin my husband's life?
But you did not cause it.
I see. You're saying I didn't cause it.
And you did not know this was going to come.
Oh, I see. And I didn't know that this is going to come. And so you're saying it's not true that I will ruin his life with me?
No, but how could you? You didn't even see this coming, and it was a mutual decision at that time, 2 years back, to not have a baby at that point in time. It was a mutual decision.
See.
So I think this is what you have to go through when you both are together in this, based on the mutual decisions that you made.
I love that. Who won just now?
I won.
Big or small?
Big.
Big or huge?
Big.
Big. So how much do you right now believe I will ruin Sumit's life with me?
Somewhere between 10 to 15.
Okay, put a line through the 30 to 40 and put 10 to 15 in the percent after column.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give it back to the smarter and better of the therapist that's working with you tonight in just a moment. But is that far enough? We can get it all the way to 0, but 10 to 15 might be good enough. It's up to you.
Something just came up to me at the moment that I don't believe that much that I will ruin his life, and 10 to 15 is okay, but I think there is more about judgment there, that people will tell me that I did ruin his life. And
so that's another thought. Let's just not deal with that right now. We can deal with that in a couple of minutes if you like. But how much do you now believe I will ruin his life?
It feels like that, but I don't believe that much. No.
Yeah. All righty.
Well, I would ask you a question just to tag team on there. I think what I would ask you at this point would just be, what would be a new thought? Like, how could we alter that thought? You're saying it feels like that, but it's not true. So how could is there a way that we could just kind of like straightforward technique it? Like, how could we say that thought in a different way where it's not distorted? Like, what is it that you're trying to say that actually would be true?
I love that, Jill.
Yeah, so maybe that I'm not going to ruin his life because I did not cause this, but it is going to be hard for both of us, and I may feel at times responsible.
Yeah. So I'm not going to ruin his life because I didn't cause it. We may go through, I think, something like some difficult things. Yeah.
It will be hard.
It will be hard for both of us.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It will be hard.
How about it'll be hard for both of us, and this is a gift for both of us?
Maybe.
No. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so you said, I'm not going to ruin his life because I didn't cause it. It will be hard for both of us. But then what was the ending to what you said?
I may feel responsible at times.
Yes. Yeah. Was there an end?
Yeah, I
but
may feel responsible at times, but I can never cause this or ruin his life because
Yeah.
I do love him a lot.
yeah.
I love him a lot, and this is what a loving relationship is like.
Yeah, that you think of the.
You like that?
Yeah.
Put it
So
down.
how much do you believe that thought then, though? It's kind of a long one, but I'm not going to ruin his life because I didn't cause it. It may be hard for both of us, and I may feel responsible at times, but I have not caused this and didn't ruin his life.
And this is what a loving relationship is like.
Yeah.
This is what it
believe-
means to be in a loving relationship, to hurt at times.
I believe that 100.
Yeah.
Completely, yes.
Okay. And does that change at all this thought, I will ruin Sumit's life with me? How much do we believe that? You still at 10 to 15%?
No, I think I don't believe in that. But I would want to keep it at least 2 to 5% so that it
5, yeah, put a 5. We don't want it to go all the way to 0.
What was
we
the dose of that?
we want to keep you on your toes, Veena.
Right. Is that why?
Yeah, to keep me on my toes, to always do the right.
Yeah, let's just make sure you don't do something else and actually ruin his life, right? You got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
You got to be good to this guy. He's a keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Veena, I just want to say it's beautiful watching you work your way out of this trap, just little by little. And it's beautiful watching you, Jill, lead Veena so gently in a beautiful and loving and accepting dimension. Beck used to have.
I said, and you, Dave.
Yeah. So Beck and I used to have this expression. He started it. He said, what we really do, what he would say to you, Veena, is our goal is really to turn your emotional mud into gold.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, that would be emotional alchemy. And it's just so nice to see that smile on your face right now, and it just makes you so beautiful and so loving. And hurting is really a part of loving, and letting other people love and support us when we're hurting. And I'm just getting elderly and talking nonsense now, so let's move back in a more technical team therapy direction. But
I believe everything you say word by word, David.
Yeah, thank you. I do too. That's what happens when you get old and senile. You start taking yourself seriously and getting sentimental. But yeah, it's just what you're doing is beautiful. Back to you, Jill.
Well, Veena, so it sounds like we did come up with several different positive thoughts, and mostly sort of straightforward from the identify the distortion, straightforward technique. David maybe went into a little externalization of voices, but we could do that even more probably more powerfully or more straightforward with another thought if you want to. But do you feel like we're in a good place with this thought? It sounds like we did kind of land somewhere where you didn't really believe it anymore. Is that right?
Yes.
So should we?
You feel ready to blow all the rest of them out of the water now with externalization of voices?
Yes.
Okay, let me start it. I'm interrupting you, Jill. I'm awful. But could I talk to you for a minute, Veena?
Yeah.
You know who I am.
Yeah, you're the negative voice in my head.
Yeah, and I know that Jill and David tricked you on that ruining Summit's life thought, but I want to remind you that this shouldn't have happened to you.
It is actually unfair. I do believe that it shouldn't have, but that's how life is. Things come your way when you least expect them, and they take you by a blow. I'm struggling here because I do believe that somewhat that it shouldn't have happened, but I'm struggling, David, a little bit.
Well, let's try a role reversal. Why don't you try role reversal with Jill, because she has a fantastic way of challenging this thought.
Okay, so Jill.
That's Veena down there.
Yeah. Sorry, Veena.
Right, so you're gonna be negative, Veena,
Negative.
and I'm gonna be positive, Veena, because we're doing a role reversal, right? So you're gonna hit me with your negative thought in the you, and I'll respond in.
So Jill, this shouldn't have sorry, Veena, this shouldn't have happened to you. This is really unfair. You've always been so careful. This shouldn't have happened to you.
I wish with all of my body that this hadn't happened to me, of course. But unfortunately, I just see that bad things happen to good people all the time, and that there's no shoulds and shouldn'ts. There's just what is. And this did happen to me, and I wish that it hadn't. I wish it were easier for me. And yet, so many unfair and unfortunate things happen to all sorts of wonderful and well-deserving people. And so the best that I can do is just accept the reality of the situation and move along with my loving husband and parents and in-laws and do the best that I can to cope with it.
Yeah.
So who won that, me or you?
You.
Was that big or small?
Big.
Was that big or huge?
Yeah, I think somewhere towards huge.
It's
Okay.
like, it's huge minus, like an A minus.
Yeah, great. So would you like to, Veena, do you have a sense of how you could maybe improve on it and get it to huge?
Yeah.
You want to try it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So I'm going to do a role reversal again. I'm going to be the negative and you're going to be the positive. So Veena, it shouldn't have happened to you. It's totally unfair. That should not have happened to you.
That's true, because I've always been careful, but it was not under my control what happens to me and what doesn't happen to me. I could just wish that it was easier for me, like others who have it easier for them. But I also know that it's not for a lot of people out there, and I'm not the only one. And this is how it is. And the bigger problem is the should statement that you keep telling me all the time, because it reminds me of things that I did and did not work, rather than I want to focus on this is how it is and what I can do from here and how I can be a big support to myself first and then my husband in this journey, and not burden him so much by constantly telling him this shouldn't have. I wish it never happened, but it has now.
Who won?
And who won that, Veena? Was that you or me?
Yeah.
You, and was that big or small or big or huge?
I think that was huge because I was using some counterattack there.
It was beautiful the way you did that. Yeah.
And you even had a little counterattack. I thought you were saying self-defense. Yeah, I was going to say you even had a little sass in it, a little counterattack. Like the problem is these should statements, right?
Yeah.
I love watching you suddenly have these things emerge in your mind like little flashes of enlightenment. And this is really where we want to go. I don't like to settle for half a loaf of bread, or half a glass of water when you're thirsty. We want to get the entire thing. But there's one thing I wanted to tell you, Veena, and I know you were feeling better, but I'm that negative Veena. And I hate to tell you this, but maybe you're never going to be a mother.
Well, what you're just fortune telling. The journey is still a long way to go, at least for next few processes. And I am working really hard on myself with the treatment, not just the antibiotics, but also talking to my body, doing some spiritual work on my body and some healing with myself. And I believe I deserve every ounce of being a mother. I deserve every ounce of that. And my doctor says that all other of my reports are great and quite in the normal range. And IVF can be quite a big possibility for me to be successful. So that's another. So I don't want to believe this fortune telling. And if that happens, that'll be the most saddening experience of my life. But I don't want to work towards that. I rather want to work towards this, which is still a possibility.
Beautiful. Who won?
I won that.
Big or small? Big or huge?
A huge minus.
Oh, okay. You want to try a role reversal? By the way, I forgot to tell you, Daisy called, or actually your husband called just a few weeks ago. You know what he said? You do know?
No, what did he say?
That she just had her second baby.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it just blew my mind. You're blowing my mind too. Try a role reversal with Jill.
Yeah. So, Veena, you will not be a mother, and you will disappoint. Yeah, and you will disappoint people around you.
That's just fortune telling. Right now, all I've been told is that I have an infection. So first things first, I'm going to work on overcoming the infection, and I'm taking antibiotics. I'm doing spiritual healing. I'm working on myself. Maybe I'll be able to overcome the infection. And if not, the doctor said I can try IVF and that I have great success, most likely with IVF. And there's just no reason for me to live in some supposed maybe future that sounds really awful to me, when instead I could just live in the present, where I have several steps that I can take to try to become a mother. So I think I'd rather just hang out there.
Yeah.
Who won, you or me?
You.
Was that big or small?
Big. It was huge.
It was huge?
Yeah. Because
I tried to use most of what you said because I thought you were huge minus, so I didn't want to throw any of it away. But I really loved how you started, which was this, like, this is fortune telling. This is just not necessarily true. And there's all these other things in the present that are true and that I do have control over and that I can try. And so why don't I just focus on what's actually in front of me rather than like what could possibly be in the future?
Yeah. I think I like that. And I think you were trying to defend and use some counterattack also there to me, that I just want to focus here. It sounded like that to me.
Right. Like, leave me alone. Enough with the like future worry, hocus pocus, maybe this, maybe that. Like, here's where I am. I'm going to stay here. Thank you anyway.
Yeah. And you could add a cap to that also, Veena.
Okay.
What's that?
Because it's the same thing, isn't it? Beating up on yourself.
Yeah.
You see that, right?
Yes, I am beating up on myself.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
You want Veena to hit you with that one, David? Did you want to take a shot at it?
Oh, I don't know. I thought maybe we were done with it, but okay. We can, if you like. I mean, do we need to do more on that one?
I would love to see David.
Okay, sock it to me.
All right. So, Veena, you will not be a mother and you will disappoint people around you.
Well, I don't know that I'll never be a mother. I have a lot of options ahead of me. And if I disappoint the people around me, I mean, if they're disappointed in a loving way, this can bring us closer together because I'll be disappointed too. But I hope they won't love me any less. I certainly won't love them any less. But I have no idea that I'll never be a mother. I have a much bigger problem than never being a mother.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say, what's that?
What's that?
Listening to your BS. Constantly beating up on myself. To quote the Buddha, cut out that shit. I'm sick of that. I've got stuff to do. And I'm going to start loving myself instead of listening to you and letting my body heal.
Yeah.
How was that one?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. Why?
I love the last statement that you said. I'm going to love myself and let myself heal my body, because that's very important. And I do believe in that.
Yeah, right. But there was something else I wanted to tell you, that your marriage may go down the line because of the absence of a kid. And don't you forget that.
I don't think so, because by God's grace, I have a very loving and supportive husband who keeps telling me that we are together in this as a team. And I do believe that very much, very much. And if it were him, I would never let this marriage go down the line. I'm sure, because he told me that if it was me who's lacking and not you who has infection, would you do the same to me that you're thinking I would do to you?
All right, you beat me big time on that one, but I did want you to know that it's all your fault. You should have taken those precautions earlier.
True.
So
that.
I want you to feel very guilty.
Maybe I could have not taken them and I could have gotten pregnant earlier, but that's again a fortune telling in the past, because I don't know if I would have conceived even if I didn't take precautions back then. And at the same time, I think my husband was not ready at that time, and neither was I. So do you just want me to force him become a father? He doesn't want
to. Okay. But the fact is that your in-laws love you so much, and now they're going to start disliking you and ignoring you because you couldn't give them an heir. And so you're a bad person, real bad.
I think they are very loving people. And my mother-in-law especially is a very kind human, because she's gone through a lot in her life. She lost her husband when she was just 31. And she's not remarried still, and she has 2 kids. And I think she understands the misery and the hurt that one goes through when life throws lemons at you and hard things at you. So definitely, I think she will feel a little disappointed and hurt, and because she's always dreamt of this. But at the same time, definitely not dislike me or hate me. I think she would understand how hard this is for me, because she keeps telling people how hard I'm trying and how focused I am and how much it means to me. And at the same time, if people do hate me, I think, or don't like me for what I'm going through, I think it says more about them than it says about me, because it's not something that I did. It happened to me. And I also believe, because I've thought about this a lot many times before I came here, that if I don't happen to have IVF as a success, which I don't want to believe, but I've thought of the worst, I think I would opt for some donor, or I would go for some adoption, because I do believe I can be a really good mother. And if not by me, then maybe someone who's already there and who's not as fortunate and whose life is already hard, and I can still adopt them and we can have a beautiful life.
It's so awesome. What you're saying is just so beautiful and awesome. Who's winning?
I am winning.
Big or small?
Crying. Is everybody else crying? Because
just cry. Yeah, this is the time to cry. These are the beautiful tears. Some tears are the tears that miracles are made of.
You're just such a beautiful human being. It's like such an honor to just listen to you talk about your life. And
yeah, it sure is. It's a privilege for all of us. We're really humbled by just being in your presence, really. The one intellectual point that I'll make is, it seems to me that you've been chipping away in very intelligent and powerful ways, but where you hit it out of the park is where you use the counterattack.
Yeah.
And just saw that the temporary difficulties, or the current difficulties with pregnancy and with infection, that's a real problem, but that's not the source of the suffering. That's the source of some appropriate concern and some appropriate sadness. But the suffering is coming from these distorted self-critical thoughts. And when you stick up for yourself and love yourself, it's a thing of joy for all of us. And when you allow yourself, as you're doing now, to feel the genuine sadness without the distortions, that's a beautiful thing, as Jill said.
Yeah. Thank
Are
you.
there any? Yeah. Are there any of
again? Wait, one more sort of intellectual point, and then we'll jump back into it. But and it's not totally intellectual, but it's also really amazing to see. And David always talks about this, but when we are worried about what other people think of us or what they would say, but in essence, we're really cutting them down too, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're saying people would. And so the other thing that I think is so beautiful, Vina, is that you're kind of in saying my husband wouldn't say that about me. It's you're of course he wouldn't. He is such a special and loving person, right? I wouldn't abandon him. Why would he abandon me? And my mother-in-law, it's you're actually, in shedding all the distortions, you're actually seeing the beautiful people that are in your life, right?
Yeah, wow.
Them the credit that they deserve for being there for you as just wonderful people, not as judgmental, abandoning, hateful people, right? And that's really beautiful too.
Yeah, when you love yourself, you give other people the chance to love you too, including all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see. You want to see how you're feeling now? The daily mood log?
Yeah.
Let's start with the sadness and depression. Then we'll let the group interact and so forth. How sad and down are you feeling right now? You're obviously feeling some healthy sadness. How is that on a 0 to 100?
I think it matches my goal. It is actually at the 30.
30, great.
Yeah.
How anxious and worried and frightened are you between 0 and 100?
I think somewhere around 15. 10 to
15, great. How guilty and remorseful are you feeling?
Not much, David. Around a 5.
5, great. How worthless and inferior and defective are you feeling?
I think a 10.
10, great. You knocked that one out of the park. How self-conscious are you feeling?
I think at a 15.
15, great. And how hopeless and discouraged and pessimistic are you feeling?
15 again.
And then how angry or upset are you feeling?
A 10.
10, great. And then how insecure and self-doubting are you feeling?
Not much. Maybe a 5.
5. So you met or exceeded all of your goals. And what would you say, Vina, and Jill will have a lot of good points to make, including your homework, but what was the most healing part of this for you tonight? What caused these sudden, fairly profound changes?
I think there are a few things. One, time is the best healer. So there's been some time since the reports came. So, and then I think today we talked about a lot of things that I've talked to myself in my head, but when it came out loud like that, it made a difference. One, that what you said, David, that I want to love myself and let my body heal. I think that is very important for me.
Yeah.
The second one, that, constantly, because these thoughts don't go away that easily. They keep coming back like small lapses, relapses. So using counterattack constantly with them, I think that'll be pretty helpful. And what I said right now, because I am scared of my loved ones telling me, oh, you did disappoint us. And then the last role play that we did, where I said that my husband, I wouldn't do that to my husband. And my husband tells that to me. If you wouldn't, I would. Why would I do that to you? And my mother-in-law and my mom's very kind. So I know how much she'd be sad rather than throw critical comments at me. And even if she does out of frustration, because maybe she thinks that her time here is running out, maybe she might say certain things that might hurt me, but I see that it will come from a place of a lot of love, care, and I think concern for me.
And maybe her own fear, right? Of
her own
worry
fear
for you. Yeah. That could come out as sort of anger or frustration or blame.
Her own hurt, maybe also, because I believe hurt always comes out with anger if unexpressed.
Yeah.
I'll let you close pull it together, Jill. And thank you, Jill. It's such a joy working with you. It's always a joy working with you. You're such a beautiful person too. Both you and Veena, you have such kindness and warmth. I'm just so admire you so intensely, and you're so incredibly smart at the same time, just like Veena, and you're both a blessing. But I feel that way.
And I feel that way toward you. I think it's just such a comfortable. It felt tonight to me such a comfortable space working with both of you. Like I feel so comfortable, and so like we know the path we're taking together when I work with David, and I felt like Veena was so open and vulnerable and not at all guarded, and also so bright and so quick. And
it was really amazing.
It was really.
Thank you so much. I think I have to extend my gratitude towards both of you, because I think the group doesn't know that the night the reports came, I was extremely overwhelmed, crying, talking to my husband, talking to Dr. Dipti, because she's one of my closest. And that was the night itself that I wrote an email to David. Even when he was unwell, I just thought he's someone I can tell this to. And he replied, and he thought he could support me. And right now, actually, I'm volunteering in one of the newbie groups. And then he still told me that, oh, Veena, we can do this in the Tuesday group. And he gave me the earliest vacancy that he could. And then he gave me options, whether I want to do it at a conference or here in the group, and constantly checking with me if that time works for me, if that day works for me. And constantly checking with Jill also if she's okay to do this, if she would want to push it because of her health. And there's so much warmness and kindness and compassion to David. I can't even express that in words. And Jill constantly being there, being so supportive and empathetic in this journey with me. She never once said no or said that I'm not well. She was always there saying, yes, we would love to work with you. And today they were being so empathetic to me. I feel so close to both of you and the group as well. Yeah, thank you.
But really, I mean, David, I do think, just to comment on that, I do think that the Team CBT model and the training group that we have in the Tuesday group that you've facilitated and created this beautiful culture for a long time of just really kind of treasuring our relationships with each other and being open and being vulnerable and supporting each other is really amazing. And I think we saw the kind of beauty of that tonight, as we've seen so many other nights when people have bravely done personal work. But that is all, the credit goes back to you, David, for creating.
Thank you. Thank you. You said that it seemed sacred to you tonight, and I agree. When we used to have a nurse in the Stanford Hospital, Olga Medeiros, and when I would do the inpatient cognitive therapy groups, we sometimes had fantastic groups like we had tonight. And at the end, she used to say, we walked on holy ground today in our group. And it was such a beautiful thing, and it was so true. And you led us to Veena to walk on holy ground tonight. What's it like for you, Veena, as the called patient tonight?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I was pretty nervous and anxious of putting it out to the whole group, and I didn't know how this is going to go and what we will achieve. So it was actually a little anxiety provoking for me, but I've known this group as very warm and special one. I look forward to this group. And that's what I received when we started with the survey, a lot of empathy, and that made me feel connected and safe. And then when we were down in the journey with the daily mood log, to be honest with you, it seemed like it was just me, David, and Jill just trying to work with me. And because I was so drawn towards my emotions and my thoughts and my family, and that was the biggest highlight for me.
Thank you.
So my own thinking is that her first homework assignment would be to finish the daily mood log, right? So make sure all this is fresh and you've got all the energy from the session that you go through the whole daily mood log. I would identify all the distortions, and then I would generate all the positive thoughts and
rerate the percentages and everything.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, how much do you believe the new thought? How much do you believe the original thought? And really try and get all those original thoughts down low. So that's quite a bit of work, because there were probably another page or two of negative thoughts still for Veena to deal with.
Yeah, and then send us a copy of it too when you're done.
Sure.
I'd love to have a copy of it.
Oh yeah, a copy of your final daily mood log.
You can send out to the whole group if you want. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I mean, other than, I would say it would just be the relapse prevention, or the maintenance would be if you continue to relapse, as we know you will, meaning that you'll have a guilty thought, or you'll have an anxious thought, or you'll fortune tell again, which is what a lot of this is built on. Then grab another daily mood log, write it down, work on it, right? Remind yourself of those distortions. So I think right now, anyway, the cognitive therapy piece of it is what Veena needs to keep practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we can have a night on relapse prevention training here in the Tuesday group.
Veena, thank you so much for just opening up your heart to us. And as you were going through everything and sharing, I just was imagining, sometimes one of my clients, she'll say, I just feel like I'm in an ocean. And when you were talking about your mom and disappointing your mom and disappointing your husband and your mother-in-law, that just felt so heavy. And then to watch you swim out of that, to come to shore and say, you know, well, this wasn't my fault. I didn't have anything to do with this. And just to watch you come out of that and move to the other side, it was just so beautiful. So thank you so much. And I just admire your braveness and talking and forgetting that you even had this group and knowing that you were going to receive love from us. And so thank you so much for sharing your heart.
Thank you so much. Today was a very moving day for me as well.
Thank you.
From the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. That means a lot to me. Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. I know that Jill and Veena and David really appreciated all of you and enjoyed it. We hope you learned something and had a good experience. Good night, everybody.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back, Rhonda, Veena, Jill, and you too, David.
Well, Veena, tell us what that was like for you.
So I think that was really magical, and how David calls it, feeling enlightened. I think that came true to life, because I've started feeling so confident, and it's like it just I could just hit it out of the park, and I've been feeling really, really enthusiastic, confident, and positive about things, to be very honest.
What was
and I'm ready to take on whatever the treatment calls for, and however it is for me. But I want to just be there and do my thing.
What was the most helpful aspect of the therapy session?
I think there were two for me. When we were doing this, I think when we first did the survey, it really helped me connect with others and see that I'm not the only one who chose things for me, like my studies and my career, and then wanting to have a baby. And I think the second that really worked for me was first identifying those distortions, because we all know there are distortions, but that really kicked in something differently. And then, doing some externalization of voices and having you both there whenever I got stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what did you learn in the externalization of voices? What aspect of that helped you?
I think acceptance, but also a lot of counterattack helped me.
Oh, that's right. I remember that now.
Yeah. because acceptance did help, but then this negative voice wouldn't stop and it would keep telling me things. So counterattack really helped me tell her that I know what it is, so please just back off. I don't want to hear it back and forth.
Yeah.
Why was the counterattack technique, and then I'll shut up, but let the others ask some intelligent and meaningful questions. But why was that specifically helpful for you? Because you just exploded there in a like a flower suddenly opening up in the springtime and coming into full blossom. What was it? Why was that so helpful for Veena? And for you as well, Veena.
I think David, maybe that's a part of my personality also. I've always been this go-getter in life, and whatever stops, I would just tell back or answer back that please let me just do my thing. I just want to get this done. And I've always been that person, and counterattack really resonates with me because acceptance does help you accept. Self-defense does help you defend yourself, but counterattack is like a big protection out there that you're telling these voices that please just go away. I don't want to hear you because you're disturbing and you really add on to my problems. And I don't want an add-on. I have so many already on my plate. I don't want an add-on.
Yeah,
I want to think clearly. So it's like a big protection that I can provide for myself.
Yeah, that's
I love that.
Beautiful.
It's almost like her, her bulletproof vest or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I also noticed it seemed to me that another kind of like powerful change that occurred within you was that I think you had a lot of worry about, hurting, like that your difficulty getting pregnant would hurt your husband, would hurt your relationship, would even hurt your relationship with your in-laws. And somehow, maybe just from telling your story and hearing it back, and then maybe through externalization of voices, when we said things to you, like you're going to ruin your husband's life. And, you just were like, what are you talking about? My husband loves me. I've never met a more supportive person. My husband said, I'm here for you. And whatever this is, we're going to go through it together. And it really, it brought tears to my eyes. It was so clear that these thoughts you had about your husband were so distorted, but it seemed like hearing it in externalization of voices also really kind of tapped into like a truth that you hadn't been able to tap into before.
Yeah,
and
I completely agree.
And I love too that you sent such beautiful photos of yourself, your husband, your family. It just brought everything to life in a colorful, visual way.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I completely agree with Jill. And, that when you said as my negative voice that, I ruin my husband's life and my marriage will go down the line, it all seemed, this is not something that's going to happen. And, and these photos, David, are really dear to my heart. These are like with the most important people in my life. And I'm so glad you asked for them.
Yeah. And if any of you want to see them, go and read the show notes. We have beautiful show notes. David slaves over them every week. But yours show notes are filled with beautiful photographs. And the Indian culture is a very colorful culture, especially in marriage and ceremonies and things of that nature. And they'll really bring another dimension of understanding to that fabulous podcast. I just want to say to the three of you that how lucky I feel to be here with you and to have the chance to have experiences like this together. When I was little, we used to like to play and get together with the neighbor kids and build a tent under the stairs and, have a little place to hang out there. And this is the same thing, that same spirit of just tremendous joy, except the healing that you shared, Veena, will probably touch the lives of tens of thousands of people. There's a good 150,000 downloads a month of our podcasts. So it will, and people do write in, and they'll let us know what they think. But it was one of the most beautiful, sessions and podcasts ever, and we're so grateful to you.
May I add in just a little bit here, if that's okay?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, let you know that work really helped me open up to my mother-in-law and my husband about my concerns and my thoughts, like the kind of negative thoughts I had. And so overwhelming it was for me, and helped me become vulnerable with them about my thoughts and concerns. And they were so supportive, and all of that came to real life, and I got validated in real life. Like it was like I was saying things in externalization of voices, they came true. I know we did any relationship work, but it really helped me to go ahead, use some 5 secrets and do my own relationship work and open up to them. And my mother-in-law, just said a really beautiful thing to me, that I would never even dream of doing anything like that to you, like, ignoring you or sidelining you, or just saying things about you that are bad. And I got so connected, and I had tears in my eyes, because I really could do some relationship work with them because of this. Thank you so much. It gave me a lot of confidence to open up to others.
Oh, yeah, that's so neat to hear. And I really feel like that a lot of people don't understand what recovery from depression and anxiety is. They think it means feeling less shitty. But that's not what we're aiming for. Seeing that, that thought maybe is a little distorted. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a complete transformation of your reality. And you see the absolute ludicrousness of what you were telling yourself, and that the opposite is true, that this loss that you've had, which we hope will be temporary, but it felt like a loss or potential loss, is in some ways has been a tremendous gain in terms of the love, the family, the growth. I don't know how to say it, so I'll shut up. But there's something pretty overwhelming.
But you're completely right. It has helped me grow in my relationships, bond, get close. So it's very different. It's a loss, but it's given so much more.
Yes, right.
That's also a really good example of the kind of the work that we did, which we call the internal solution, right? That's working on your own negative thoughts and feelings, then enabled you, because you have a lot of these skills already as a team CBT therapist, but to kind of do the external solution, which was actually working on sharing and being vulnerable with your husband and your in-laws. And sometimes when we do the opposite, it doesn't work so well. Like, right, when we try to get people to have conversations with people before they've done the internal work, sometimes people struggle more. But I kind of think what you're sharing with us is that you did this work, you came out and you felt so much more confident. And so then you could share openly and vulnerably with these people in your life and get much closer to them as a result of it. So that's awesome.
We'll give the last word to Rhonda, because Rhonda has some beautiful things to say. Rhonda, who's sticking her tongue out in total shock and fear.
Every time you do personal work with somebody, there's always a transformation of their reality. Yeah. And whether it's, sadness because you're struggling to get pregnant, or sadness because someone in your life has passed away, or whatever, or anxiety over, whatever the issue is. I think each time personal work occurs, it shows the strength and the power of team CBT therapy. And you can see it in all sorts of different, machinations and different I'm babbling again, different problems, different issues that people face. Still, the result is a transformation of their reality. And David, I totally appreciate, the power of team therapy. It has changed my life, as I've said before, personally and professionally, and hanging out with you, under the tent, under the stairs is one of my greatest pleasures and fun. Yeah. So thank you. And to share this with you, Jill and Veen, it's just, icing on the cake.
Yeah, we're all adventurers in a land of miracles.
Exactly. I love that. I'm writing that down.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for
Thank you.
including me in the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
Thank you for
just so
having me.
mind blowing. Yeah. And thank you, all of our listeners, too. I hope you just
Yeah.
loved it. And thank you, Veena. We're just so honored to receive the gift that you've given us. Oh, Doctor, you sound so elderly and corny. You gave us a wonderful deep gift. That's my other personality. I call him Dr. Pompass.
Okay. And then
Thank
until
you,
next time.
David,
So
for having
actually,
me.
there's a third part to this work with Veena. So we invite you to tune in again next week to listen to Veena do some relapse prevention, which we haven't really done in personal work before. So come back next Monday.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good podcast.